Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here on a hot take about what's happening. Bunch of stuff is happening. January 5th, January 6th. Where's the country going? What's happening? I have some guesses. I call them guesses now. I shouldn't say predictions. My predictions have been terrible of late. A few of them have been on the mark, but I make so many. I have so many opinions, but anyhow, smash like and subscribe if you like my opinions, or even if you just like hearing me talk, or you'd like to see Little Joan and her new haircut. Also, check out my books, Wokistan, a novel, Hollywoke, another novel, both political satires about Trump being reelected. And check out the Pineys, books 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all available on Amazon. Links in the description. Ebook, trade paperback, and Kindle Unlimited is free. Also on BitChute and Rumble. Now, with that all out of the way, let me first state that it was the most secure election ever. Honk, honk, wink, wink. All right, so what's happening? DC police contact GOP rep Boebert about plans to bring a Glock to work. The DC cops don't want you to bring any guns into the city on January 5th and 6th. I don't agree with it, but they probably have the upper hand in this and probably will throw your butt into the clink if they find you with a gun. Just saying. So, if you're going to bring it, if a few thousand other people bring it too, I don't think it'll be an issue because there'll be so many people. They won't want to arrest thousands of people, but, just be aware. They don't want any guns. Congress, this is an opinion piece. Congress should impeach Trump again and bar him from holding any future public offices. Do the Democrats have any other tricks? Because this is getting old. Impeaching Trump isn't going to happen. It's stupid to even suggest it. He only has... if he's going to be in office, or if he's not going to be reelected, he only has about 3 weeks left. Not even. No, it's less than that. 2 weeks. A little more than 2 weeks. What would be the point? Are you really that desperate to keep him out of office? This just is going to make people mad. And they're going to punish you for it. You will have to go full-blown communism to keep people from punishing you for it at the polls. You will have to steal every election because the Democratic Party has destroyed its brand. And for the next 4 years, watch it die. I mean die in the sense that the party will die. Not the sense that anyone will be hurt. Not saying that. Attempts to delegitimize election are bigger global risks than beer virus, risk assessment group says. Risk assessment group says. Who cares? NBC News, in my view, they hate Trump. They say stuff like this. It's hyperbolic nonsense. Don't listen to it. Daily Mail, same deal. Legal experts say Trump broke law by pressuring Georgia's Republican Secretary of State to recalculate and fine the 11,780 votes. Watch the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. They have a good breakdown of this. So does Tim Pool regarding Trump's phone call. It was a 1-hour phone call. The clips, as Sargon of Akkad points out, the clips of that were reported by WAPO, Washington Post, show you maybe 3 minutes or less of Trump talking, and they take 3 clips and play them in the wrong order to imply something than he actually meant differently. It's out of context, as usual. There's some truth to it, but there's some not. Okay? They are, in my view, they are blatantly lying through implication. They're just implying hard that Trump is a criminal and they're just lying, really. I think they're just lying, in my opinion. This is the Washington Post. And all these other news media, based on that, they feel they can be truthful in their assessment of the Washington Post original claim and article and recording, even though that's incomplete, and even though they are just going off of that. And I think the game is, well, if you called them out on it and said, well, you didn't analyze the entire 1 hour conversation, their response would be, well, we were just commenting on what the Washington Post said. And that's how they step back and say, not our fault. So you shouldn't listen to these people. And it's not just the Daily Mail, but most of the mainstream media is saying the same thing. Raffensperger calls Trump just plain wrong after election call. This is a guy who I would love to see go to prison. I really would. I'd love to see this guy go to prison for what he's done in the Georgia election. And I think he's using taxpayer money to defend himself in every possible way. I don't know what someone has on him, whether it's the Democrats or the Chinese government, or whether he's just an egomaniac. But this guy, he's no Republican I've ever seen. I've never seen a Republican fight so hard against another Republican. I mean, there's no place in a political party for someone who fights that hard against one of their own. You know, the Democrats no longer will burk any people who don't fall in line. They used to have a big tent. Now it's a small tent. Now it's a tent where you better toe the line or you're out of the tent. Ask Dennis Kucinich. Okay? Ask Tulsi Gabbard. The tent's not big in the Democratic Party, and it gets smaller every day. And the progressives who have invaded it, I think they're a bunch of phonies. AOC and the squad, they all voted for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker. A bunch of phonies. But this guy, in my view, and all the rhinos either need to be purged from the GOP or the GOP needs to be replaced completely. And I think that will probably be Trump's move. But let's get into the rest of the articles here. Here's the Gateway Pundit. It's always fun to read. We won 3 times here. Joe Biden campaigns for Ossoff and Warnock by yelling at a parking lot full of honking cars in Atlanta. Such a great picture of a feeble old man. 78-year-old Joe Biden on Monday yelled at a parking lot full of honking cars in Atlanta as he campaigned for Democratic candidates Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock ahead of the Twin State runoff election. Biden trashed the Trump administration efforts to distribute the COVID or the beer virus vaccine and said this administration has gotten off to a god-awful start. It's been 4 years, Joe. What do you mean? Ads of Trump. I don't know why he still wants the job. He doesn't want to do the work. Biden trolled Trump and said he won the state of Georgia 3 times after the crooked recounts. Did he call him crooked too? I don't understand. Gateway Pundit's a bit hyperbolic, but you know, Joe Biden, at least he's out of his basement, I guess. But look at him. He looks like a withering old mummy. I mean, this guy's going to be president. He doesn't look like he should be up after 4. Yeah. So I don't really see this guy making it. I really don't. In other news, Senator Gohmert says Republicans need to match Antifa and BLM violence after court squashes electoral suit. I'm going to disagree with you. I think violence is not the answer. I think coordinated, peaceful protests are much more effective. I do. And I think coordinating with other Trump supporters to take their money elsewhere will also be very powerful. You know, if the Trump supporters, for instance, 74 million people, you get them to support, say, there's a new crop of conservative film production companies. Daily Wire has started one. They just came out with a movie. I'll be talking about it later. Conflicts is another. So imagine 74 million people Say, screw it. I'm done with Hollywood. I'm going to watch conflicts. I'm going to watch the Daily Wire movies. Those movies would be big hits. And that would change the culture like that overnight. When you have 74 million people see a film, it's a hit film. And Hollywood won't ignore that. They will say, there's money to be made here. And when the liberals say, oh, well, what about the money you make with us? Well, we're not making much money with you. We're going to make money with these guys too. And that's when you start bringing people to your side. It's about money. Okay? So if these guys can't get in on the distribution, they can't get in on the making of the movies. If conservative movies become a thing, that changes the culture. That changes everything. And that's easily done. This is not easily done. You're talking about radicalizing people and sending them to jail, because it's not going to be like Antifa. Antifa had protection. They had DAs in place to not prosecute. They had judges willing to throw out the law just to keep these people back on the street. Won't be the same. Red state judges aren't that way. People with more traditional values aren't that way. You'd be betraying your own principles by doing that. Okay? So, I disagree. Stick together. Watch for Trump. Trump has a plan. Now, I'm not talking about the plan, QAnon. I'm talking about a plan. And that plan evolves over time. And it's not all about Trump, but right now he's the figurehead of the movement. He is the movement. The movement chose him, so we should rally around him. And if he does something we don't like, we have to sort of try to change him and change the movement, but we have to have a movement first. The movement is important. If they associate the movement with violence, the Democrats have no problem shooting us. They have no problem with that. They will. They will shoot people in the street. I told you, Antifa got off easy because, the Republicans don't want to look like they're fascist. The Democrats, they don't care because the media will spin it, it's a terrible tragedy that 17 people were killed in the riot, but, well. Won't matter that the cops shot him. Won't matter. Won't matter. They'll get off scot-free because the media will support them as heroes stopping horrible right-wing bigots. So you can't win that way. You can win by going out on the streets and being peaceful and being attacked and protecting yourself and then letting the media lie about it because people who were there know the truth. Other people will know the truth. The truth will get out. And eventually, people will see that. And they will see the cops for what they are. They also will be attacking the last group of people who support them. Not a good move, cops. Not a good move at all. So, Gohmert, I say no on the violence. Congress approves rules regulating January 6th electoral vote count. This is a big problem. A huge, huge problem. Because now they're trying to essentially Jimmy Jack the whole system. So there can't be any kind of vice president overturning the whole thing. So Mike Pence is going to have to either say F you to these Democrats, kick over the table full of electorals, and say, I refuse to count these. Because this has been the most secure election ever. Honk, honk, wink, wink. Clown noise. If he doesn't say something like that, well, then, and he probably won't, he's not the answer. Now, maybe Trump has another move. Will Pence support it? I doubt it. Now, I don't take the position of Lynn Wood, who just seems to get a little wilder and spicier every day on Twitter, but he is an establishment politician. So unless he decides I'm throwing that away to sign up with Trump, um, you know, it's hard to get the lay of the land because behind the scenes, other stuff is happening. This could be, right now, the way I perceive it, but this is based on, media, and the media doesn't give us a clear picture of what's going on behind the scenes. It feels like Trump has almost no support in Washington, like zero. Yes, he has these 12 senators and 140 reps, and that's good. But the actual Washington bureaucracy, it seems to me, has always been against them. The judges, even the SCOTUS judges, seem to be against them. The military has come out and said we shouldn't be involved in the election. Now we have this. 10 former Pentagon chiefs saying, don't do this. Don't invoke the Insurrection Act. The thing is, this is from NBC News. Now, maybe they're scared. Maybe they're scared Trump is going to do it. Maybe they know Trump is going to do it. And this is just more laying the groundwork to get at Trump and hoping that enough people won't listen to him, that it'll be chaos if he tries to pull the Insurrection Act and arrest people and overturn the election. It could be. If you're out on the street January 5th and 6th, and even if you're not, and you're a Trump supporter, the thing to do is only listen to Trump. Okay? And what I mean by that is don't assume any media reports like this are true or accurate or the pulse of what's actually happening. Assume that they're wrong and should not be listened to. If it comes from Trump, if it comes from his Twitter, whether it comes from his Twitter, whether it comes from, OAN or maybe Newsmax or just the news, those you can kind of trust. You can't even really trust Fox News, really. So I don't know what's going to happen over the next 2 days. Maybe Trump pulls an amazing thing out of his butt and says, here you go. Here you go. I'm going to invoke the Insurrection Act. I'm putting half the Democrats in jail because I have all their connections to China and all these other things, and everything's wonderful and great. And then he turns off the Insurrection Act, and we go back to a normal world with no beer virus, and we can all go back to living our lives, and Trump spends the next 4 years trying people for various crimes. Maybe. Or maybe he invokes the Insurrection Act and only half the military listen to him, and it's absolute chaos. And maybe some people get killed and shot. Maybe some of those people are at the protest. I don't know. It all goes tits up, and in the end, Trump gets thrown in jail, and now they try him for sedition and treason and execute him. I don't want to see that. But I wouldn't put it past the Democrats. I really wouldn't. So Trump must know these are the highest stakes there are. But if there's any guy on the planet who can play this game, it's Trump. So if he makes the call, he's going to make the call and he's going to move forward. I have confidence that he could do it if he makes the call. Now, if he doesn't make the call, what I expect him to do is to try to pressure Pence as much as possible, because everybody will be in Washington, because they will probably get a 10-day audit of the vote, which is what Ted Cruz is pushing for. I think it's possible they could get it. And if enough information came out and it looked very bad that, Trump needed to be president for another 4 years, I'll say, even though it was the most secure election in history, honk, honk, wink, wink, the evidence could pressure Trump and even the Democrats to say, we can't ignore this. Maybe it ends up in a contingent election. That's a long shot. They're both long shots, incredible long shots. But that's slightly more possible than the other thing, that Trump, descending from the sky in a golden light makes everything okay. Slightly possible. Another possibility is they just wait us out 10 days and then announce we can't prove anything. Biden has to win. we're gonna do some reform on the voting system, and that's the best we can do for you right now. It's not the end of the world. It sucks. It's not the end of the world. It could be that the whole thing gets delayed and Nancy Pelosi becomes president for a while, which, quite honestly, I think is marginally better than Joe Biden. But she won't be in there for long because she'll push the process right ahead to get Biden in, I'm sure. But then maybe that's all. There's only so much she can do as president because it would look too bad for her to just push it along. I don't know. It's going to be chaos. That's all I know. The worst case scenario is, I think, Trump comes out to address his supporters. He says something like, you know what? The GOP screwed us. F those guys. Either we're going to make our own party, America First, and we're going to leave these clowns in the dust and let them die. Or, most likely, because I think we're halfway through the process at this point, he'll say something like, we're going to take over the GOP. I'm going to run it, and we're going to kick out all these rhinos. They're all leaving. All these anti-American rhinos, they're going to be history. We're going to unelect all of them. We're going to primary every single one of them. And the only ones going to be left are Trump Republicans. And the ones got elected this year that Trump helped get elected. And, you know, we're going to get more Trump Republicans in Democratic states, too. And then I think he comes back strong in 22. And then in the midterms. And then depending on what the situation is there, then in 2024, I think he comes back again and he wins it. Hopefully, in 4 years, the Republicans can fix the voting system that the Democrats spent 4 years destroying. And we'll see. We'll see. But again, my advice to you, if you're going to January 5th and 6th, wait for Trump. Don't make moves without Trump. Don't do anything stupid. Trump is the gauge for everything. Don't assume just because you heard in a media outlet XYZ happened. I mean, there was somebody sent me an article today. It was dated January 1st and said Biden had resigned. It was totally fake. Totally fake. Biden didn't resign on January 1st. He didn't. It was a totally fake article. These float around the internet. And let me tell you something else. There will be infiltrators everywhere. There will be guys trying to start fights. There will be guys trying to say horribly racist things to make the MAGA hat wearers look bad. Okay? They need to be, ostracized or confronted and say, hey, dude, don't say that stuff. You're gonna mess up the movement for everybody. Stop it. So, keep your powder dry, but, police your own ranks. Make sure the people you're with, you know them. You don't know them, get to know them. And figure out who they are. Because Antifa is planning on infiltrating too. And those woke idiots will probably be the most obvious. But there will probably be some FBI guys and CIA guys in the mix. Or guys who are fronting for them. So, be real careful. Because they're going to want to start trouble. They're going to want a situation in which the MAGA hat guys look bad. Look really bad. So don't allow that to happen. Be alert. Be on the lookout. Know who you're with. Pay attention. And you see something suspicious, don't let it go. Okay? And don't do anything stupid. Make sure you take bottles of water, bandana, goggles. Be prepared to be arrested. The cops are not going to be your friend. But, do what you can to stay out of it. Be prepared, though. You might get arrested and spend a few hours in jail and have to get, come back for summons or whatever. So be prepared for that. But I don't know what Trump's going to do. Maybe he'll invoke the Insurrection Act. Maybe. I hope if he does that he has the support of the military. We know he has the support of 74 million people. So we'll see how it goes. Good luck, Patriots. We're all counting on you.